I know when you were in Boston, you always had such good things to say about the crowds there and the feeling of playing at the Garden. What do you expect now that there's going to actually be people there in the building as opposed to last time?
I mean, it's not my first time being an opponent in Boston. So, I'm just looking forward to competing with my teammates. And, hopefully we can just keep it strictly basketball. There's no belligerence or any racism going on, subtle racism and people yelling shit from the crowd. But even if it is, it's part of the nature of the game. And we're just going to focus on what we can control.
Is it something you've experienced in Boston before?
I'm not the only one that could attest to this, but it's just, it won't. It is what it is.
Ryan Mahoney.
Perk, we have to talk about his comments about coming back to Boston, and hopefully we can just keep it strictly basketball. There's not belligerence or racism going on, subtle racism. I'm not the only one who can attest to this. The whole world knows it. What do you make of that?
I mean, to be honest, I know that Celtic fans are some of the best fans in the world. I played there 8.5 years. I lived there for 8.5 years. And me personally, I never dealt with any type of racism while I was living in Boston. That's just me personally. I never dealt with it. I don't know. I also came back as an opponent of the Celtics. And I played, I played there with the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Cleveland Cavaliers, and still never experienced any racism, right? And I was always the guy that was all around the town and everything. It's like it's always extra. It's always extra with him. And I don't even know why we're surprised by this comment, right? Just like I don't even know why we're surprised. But just think about it. In New York yesterday, the other night, they was like the fans were chanting F Trae Young. All right. So like that don't mean that they're racist. They're ruthless, right? They're just cheering on their team. But do we expect anything less than Kyrie to be extra about something? Like seriously. Well, you know what's crazy? Real quick, let me say this. Now that I think about it, I've never heard any player while I was playing, or we haven't heard of any incidents of racism going on, not in my generation, where like they had a problem with fans in the stands being racist towards any African-American athlete that has come into the Garden, right? Now, yeah, fans are going to talk noise and but that's everywhere, right? The only city that we've heard of anything being close to racism for is people saying crazy stuff that got out of control. And I don't even know if it was racist comments. It was just out of character comments. Was like Utah. Like we saw Utah fans actually get kicked out of the game for going at players like CP3 and Russell Westbrook and things to that nature. When was the last time a Celtic fan got kicked out of the game for actually like? It's just so much. It's almost like, oh man, yeah, man. Let me address this. Let me switch the narrative real quick and say it's gonna be this. And like, no, they're gonna boo you, obviously, but just take it. Like at the end of the day, it's part of it. Like, my God.